know exactly where it is.
the capital of Nepal.
It's the capital
So
of Nepal. Okay. All right. So you land there and you're completely alone, right? There's no friends with you.
yes. So yeah, I waved my mum goodbye at the airport. She was very teary. I didn't know when I'd be coming
Are your
back.
parents adventurous or did they think you were out of your minds?
Well, that's something we'll come to later. But my dad actually lives in Thailand now, and
Okay.
my mum lives in France. So they're not kind of going off trekking, backpacking, but they enjoy travel and they like exploring different cultures. So
All right.
maybe I've
Yeah,
it from there. Yeah.
we're definitely going to want to talk about that. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you land, you're in Kathmandu,
Yeah.
and did you know exactly where you're going to be staying, or did you have it all sort of charted out, or did you just wing it?
I first I sort of booked a first couple of days accommodation because I knew I'd arrive there and I'd be like, "Whoa, okay, I just need a long flight and I needed to stay somewhere." But yeah, it was crazy when I first arrived. It was just so different than anything. I'd culture shock definitely. It was busy. There were rickshaws and buffaloes at the side of the road. People getting their hair cut at the side of the dusty street, and the traffic was incredible. And I was just like, "Oh, what have I done? What is this?" Like, but it was amazing. It was such a buzz and the excitement of it. But I knew I sort of had a couple of days in Kathmandu, the actual city,
Hmm.
and I booked a hotel there, and then I booked a trek into the Himalaya because that's what I've always loved the mountains. So that was kind of my dream to go to the highest mountains in the world. And I booked that with a company, so I knew there would be people there. So it was kind of a cushion at the beginning to get me into it. I was traveling alone, but I knew I sort of signed up with a group. So there were six of us, and that got me into it. I made friends straight away, and it made it a lot easier because we'd all sort of share our anxieties about the altitude sickness and things like that at the very beginning. But it was incredible experience that.
Okay, so you're in Kathmandu, and how long did you actually stay there for?
I was there for about 4 days at the beginning, and
Yeah.
then we went on a 2 week trek to the mountains, and then I was in Kathmandu for a week when I came back. But I met a few friends while I was there. That's the kind of, you're on your own for a few days, and then you kind of approach someone and start talking to someone in a restaurant, which is so alien from where you're from. Like, I remember going out for a meal the first time on my own when I first arrived. I was like, oh, everybody's looking at me. I'm on my own. I look really lonely, and I was
Isn't it
trying to read
funny?
my Lonely Planet, and I was like, oh my god. And I was like, started drinking a beer. I was like, oh, people are gonna think I'm weird drinking on my own. And then it's so strange because now it's just like I just do it all the time, and I don't even think about it. But that first night, I was nervous about it. But yeah, I made a few friends there and went to see some of the amazing there's Hindu temples around there, and I was just fascinated by the whole country, and so different than England. It was incredible.
Now, the kind of people that you're meeting there, are they people that are in, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 25. I'm
20,
26 next month. Yeah.
okay, 26. So
Yeah.
how old were the average people that you sort of ran into in Nepal?
I would say Nepal's it's an average. I mean, I was traveling for the first couple of days. There was a guy I met who was younger than me. He was 20, I think,
Hmm.
and he was from Holland, and he just finished university there. But then the people I was trekking with, I was the youngest, and they were sort of ranged from 30s to 50s.
Hmm.
It's a real range. I would say that Nepal is a little bit older than the rest of Southeast Asia. I'd say when I arrived in Thailand and Laos and Vietnam, Cambodia, it's very much in early 20s, sort of that kind of age. But it's a real range. I mean, I've met backpackers in the 70s going around. A lovely couple I'd met in Malaysia, two old women going traveling together, like in their 70s, and they'd left the husbands and then were going off backpacking for a couple of months. It's
It's
like just any
fascinating.
you end up talking to people from all over the place. Yeah.
Do you find that that there are people who are either in their 20s or their 70s, but not much in between?
No, I think you find all ages. I think you get people doing, as I said, like a sabbatical. So
Hmm.
a lot of couples maybe traveling in the 30s. In Nepal, I was traveling with a lady from Sweden. She was 45, I think, and her children had grown up, and she'd been working, and she'd always wanted to do this trip when she was sort of my age, but had got married young and had children, and now this was her dream, and she was traveling for a year. So just all ages, I think, definitely.
Okay, so now you're in Nepal. Now you're trekking, you're backpacking, you're there for a couple of weeks. Are you looking back on what you left in Manchester, or are you saying, "Thank God I left. I'm just loving this"?
Yeah, it was the second one,
Okay.
definitely. And the first couple of days, I remember the first day I arrived, and as I said, I was nervous about traveling on my own, and I went and sat in my room, and I was like, put a sturdy pair of sandals on, and went back out into the streets, and was like, like nervous, but it's just so exciting. It was the first, I rung my mum at home, and after a couple of days, I managed to find a scruffy internet cafe with a dodgy phone, and I rung my mum, and I was just like, yeah, it was incredible. I wasn't regretting it at all.
So now you have no agenda. There's no timeline. You're just sort of waking up and just living life the way you want to live it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I booked a flight to had a flight booked to Bangkok, and then I had a flight booked to Perth after that. So it was Kathmandu, Bangkok, and then Perth. But of course, I never made it to Australia, Perth. And then so I was a month in Nepal, and then had my flight booked to Bangkok. So that was another sort of change of pace going from Nepal to Bangkok, because it was a lot more modern than I expected Bangkok. So going from Nepal, a tiny little airport in Kathmandu, kind of a bit rougher travel, and then I arrived in Thailand. It's like shopping malls and motorways, and that was another culture shock. So yeah, but I kind of, apart from that, I had no itinerary in between. It was just sort of, I knew roughly what countries I wanted to go to. So Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, but hadn't really had a length of time I wanted to spend in each country, or my plans changed with people I met, or there was something interesting going on, or some event, and we'd go there for that. So it's the best way, definitely. Recommend people travel like that.
So if you run into people there and you say, you know what, I think I want to stay another week or two. I'm really kind of digging this spot. Do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's the best thing. But you end up going to places you never even thought you'd go to. One of my favorite places in Southeast Asia, Sumatra, which is it's part of Indonesia. It's the largest island in Indonesia, and it's a little bit off the beaten track. I never even imagined I'd go there. And I remember me and my friend were in Malaysia, and we didn't realize it was the monsoon season, and we were sat there in the rain, and we were like, oh, what should we do? Where should we go? It's like, should we go to Sumatra? It's like, okay. And then you just end up talking to someone and then going somewhere different. But yeah, that's the beauty of traveling independently. If you like somewhere, you stay, or if you don't, if you feel like the buzz of a city, you go. If you feel like you need a beach. And the beauty of Southeast Asia is it's so diverse. So you're only an overnight bus ride away from a beach, a city, a rainforest, a volcano, surfing, rock climbing. There's so much to do. There's no point staying in a place you don't like.
Okay, don't go anywhere. Hang on just one sec, and we'll be right back.
If you want to learn how Rob and Kim leverage technology to create the income, time, and freedom to regularly travel from one jet-set destination to the other using their proven system, you can claim your risk-free trial membership to Jet Set Money by going to getjetsetmoney.com. Here's Rob.
So what was your favorite? If you had to, it looks like you've been to like Nepal and Thailand and Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. What was your favorite, and why was it your favorite? I know it's a tough question to ask.
Yeah, it is, definitely. I'd say, well, highlights, as I said, Sumatra, climbed volcanoes there, and went to one of the largest volcanic crater lake in the world in Lake